Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sports Trigger. Travis, today we are talking about NFL duds so far. Are you ready to get started?
Let's talk duds.
Welcome back to the Sports Trigger, everyone. Travis, NFL duds so far. Let's let you lead off here. So I'll give you the advantage of going first. So you could potentially take one or two of mine, but go ahead and kick it off.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'll just start off with one, and then I'll let you we can go back and forth, Snake. But man, it's tough because this person I was high on. You know, they had a very strong second half of the season last year. Considering they were on a very bad team, but they're on a new team this year, and Terrell Pryor, I picked him up. I had high hopes for him. He's a converted, QB, as many know, and, to end the year last year, he was one of the hottest wide receivers. Granted, he was with the Browns, but he was doing really well.
Well, self-proclaimed hot receiver as well. So, he had okay stats. And yeah, he put up a few impressive games, and then he self-proclaimed himself. And there were a few other players, I think, that were saying that, he can't be defended one-on-one or something along those lines.
Right.
So.
Well, and granted, you think of his size, so that's something to be optimistic about, and that's what had me salivating, because you think red zone, you think someone 6'5" in the red zone, especially with Kirk Cousins, who's granted, Kirk Cousins, he's been good the past couple of years, right? He's thrown for at least 35 plus 100 yards, and Deshaun Jackson isn't there anymore. No Pierre Garçon, who's there other than Jordan Reed, who's hurt all the time, and Terrell Pryor, he's been a dud. He hasn't done anything.
What's his stats so far? I don't know his stats. I haven't heard much from him, so that kind of tells me right there that he has been a dud. And is Washington 0-2, or did they finally get a win over the weekend?
They got a win over the Rams.
Oh, okay, yeah, 27-20, right, or something along those lines. What's his stats been so far? I haven't even seen.
Yeah, so for this past game, he had 2 receptions for 31 yards. And then for the very first game was okay stats, 6 receptions for 66 yards. So nothing terrible the first week, but so he had 11 targets the first week. He had less this past week, but at the same time, you would think that by now he would have a touchdown. If you're a top wide receiver and the second best receiver on your team's a tight end, Jordan Reed is good when he's healthy, then you have to have at least one touchdown or more receiving yards. I don't understand why it is. I know he had trouble catching the ball the first week, and I thought that would get corrected the second week, but I don't know. It's under what he should have right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's still relatively new to the position, but yeah, 6'5", once you get to the goal line, you think he would be an awesome target to have, but that just hasn't looked to be the case so far. I'm gonna go Andy Dalton, and he's the obvious guy, but he's only completing just under 55% completion percentage, just 394 passing yards, and 0 passing touchdowns. And in fact, the Bengals haven't even gotten in the end zone on offense, if I remember right.
That's correct.
That's got to be one of the biggest duds so far. I don't think everybody's kind of been on edge saying like, oh, Cincy always fails, or, they at least get to the playoffs, and then everybody's like, oh, they just drop off, Cincy, get rid of Marvin Lewis. And now, this is a huge drop off, because you're talking about an offense that has weapons. It's not like they don't have anybody to throw to. So this is kind of mind-boggling to me, but this is what makes him probably one of the biggest duds that we've seen through the first few games, at least. Obviously, all this could change, but right now, I just can't think of anybody who's been a bigger dud than Andy Dalton. I should almost just throw out the whole Bengals offense.
Sorry, AJ Green.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I almost need to throw them all out there. So that's my first pick right there. Who else do you have on your board?
So I have to go with this person because it's my team that I follow. I'm a diehard Panthers fan. And Cam Newton, where are you at? I know you had off-season shoulder surgery, and he did okay the first week against the Niners, but this past weekend, I know Olsen got hurt in the middle of the game, but where are you at? I mean, the offensive line isn't the best, but I don't like making excuses for my team saying offensive line this, stuff like that, which obviously it's a big part of it, but at the same time, be more accurate throwing the ball. I don't understand what the issue is. Cam Newton, dud for me so far this year.
Yo, that's actually a good, I'm surprised you went there, but yeah, and he's on your fantasy squad, right? I remember that.
He's on my fantasy squad.
Yeah, that's, I don't know, they have some new offensive pieces, so maybe I'll take them like a few weeks to get jiving in the right way, be more consistent. So I think that might be where that ends up, later on in the year, and to be honest, they're gonna be playing against some defenses that they can put points up against as well. Like,
New Orleans is up next.
They'll put up some points there, so no doubt about that in my mind. So that'll be interesting. That could be one that shakes out. I'm gonna go with the whole Indianapolis Colts. I'm just putting them out there because, I've actually been one person that's been saying this for several years now. When Pagano first came in and you had Andrew Luck and new offensive coordinator, back when Arians was first there, they had an opportunity with some draft picks or some free agency signings to really rebuild the Colts into a team that could last for, the long haul. But instead what they did was they tried to overspend and overdraft on offensive playmakers.
Right.
And I understand they've gone through some injuries and especially on defense, the cornerback, safety, middle, they've had some injuries there. So I understand that. But they decided to go pretty much all in on offense, and they completely swung and missed. And actually, you know what? The most consistent person on their offense in the last 3 years has been Frank Gore, and he has no knees. He has absolutely no knees.
Yeah.
And he's been the most consistent player on their team. Even with Andrew Luck playing, he hasn't been that consistent last year or 2 years. Blame it on the offensive line if you want. That is a part of it. And to be honest, his receivers, I just think T.Y. Hilton was overhyped. He was never a number one receiver. Then they had Dorsett there for a while, and they tried, I forget the Oakland receiver that could run like a 4.1 40. They tried to bring him in, but he couldn't catch the ball, so obviously.
Hayward Bay?
Yeah, Hayward Bay. So that's a huge issue. Could never catch the ball. But they had this opportunity to build up a ground game, a great offensive line, and some defense, and be a team more along the lines of like the Patriots and some of the other successful teams that have great defenses and can interchange offense a little bit. I do know that Andrew Luck's a better quarterback than anybody they've thrown out there so far. So that does hurt. But still, they've missed on draft picks. They way overspent on players way past their prime. Obviously missed out on Trent Richardson when they traded a first round draft pick. That was a huge miss. And so Frank Gore's probably crazy as it may seem, he is probably the best move that they've made, and he's the oldest and the least durable he's durable because he plays every year and he turns around 1,000 yards, it seems like, just about every year, even with no knees. So I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts. So do you have anybody else to throw on there? Those are kind of who I have right now.
Yeah, I really don't have anyone else that really sticks out to me. I think those are really the ones that are most apparent to me. I guess you could throw. I don't think there's too much expectations with Tyrod Taylor, so you can't really throw him under the bus. So, I think that'd just be throwing gas on the fire. So, I think those are really the only ones that stick out in my mind, at least.
Awesome. Well, we'll stop with that for now. We won't throw anybody else into the fire. So, with that being said, guys, thanks a lot for joining us on another episode of the Sports Trigger, and until next time.